Hey folks, Twisha Christian here. Today I just want to give you guys a quick update, mostly because I want to do this video before I make a particular video public on YouTube. It's currently on the Patreon, and I want to discuss a few other things. But first, before I get into all that, I have to tell you guys that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing information with you and giving you my opinion and thoughts. Right? You should always do your own research. And if you guys like these videos, please go support on the Patreon or the PayPal. On the PayPal, I did do the Wealth Transfer series. That is available there right now, and you guys are going to get a lot of information out of that now. And I actually post a lot of other stuff. The Wealth Transfer series itself probably took me about a complete 2 months to put together, and that doesn't even include like some of the other videos that I put out, like the Dinar prophecies, going through tons of videos, and not just of one particular individual, but many different individuals, just kind of like when I was doing with the Kim Clement and combing through all the different prophecies. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, and then try to put it all together and put it into a video and trying to figure out exactly, write down each time something was said. And that's one of the things. There's a lot of prophecies that are out there that it's just amazing that when you actually sit down and look at what all the prophets are saying, and you can actually catalog it and write it down, especially when it concerns the wealth transfer. And then you can present it. So it's a lot of time and effort, many nights, only getting 4 hours of sleep before I go into work. And then, of course, spending a lot of time after work and sacrificing other things so I can get this information out. So I do appreciate any support, and I thank you guys for those who do support. You guys are a blessing. And I guess apparently my PayPal me was off for some reason. So if you guys had tried to donate to that, it is now back on again. All right, so the Dow itself took a beating today. And I think even at one point it was down by 500. And just kind of reminds me of what we're getting ready to get into. And with all these glitches that happened, with the cryptocurrency markets, and with the wealth transfer beginning, when we look at some of those prophecies, it's amazing that we're living in this time and that we are blessed to have these opportunities. A lot of people talk about the wealth transfer and have for many years. You see these people on TV like TBN or whatever, and they always say the wealth transfer. Most of them don't say what to invest in or specifically specific investments. And now Kim Clement talked about multiple investments, and some of them you have to research and find it out, and some of them that they're too expensive to invest in at this moment, but it's something that we're going to be investing in later on. And even a lot of people then didn't take advantage of the wealth transfer or some of the things that he was talking about then when it was available, when Ford was at $1, and he was prophesying that. And then next thing you know it, it took off from $1, and a lot of people made a lot of money. So we are in exciting times and just thankful that God has given us the opportunity. And it's hard digging some of these wells, right, folks? I mean, you know how many platforms I've had to sign up with just to get a particular coin or get into a particular investment? And so what God shared with me is that you're just digging that well, and you have to do everything you can to get the money out of that well, right? So if it requires for you to sign up just to purchase one cryptocurrency, if you have to learn how wallets work and all that stuff like MetaMask and all that, it takes time. So you have to just do the research, type in how to use MetaMask, how to transfer, how to buy. You got to do the research, and that's one of the things is that Kim Clement always said in all of his prophecies was do the research. Especially when it came to the stocks, he said, do the research, search it out. Okay, so really quickly, I want to go over Zion Oil and Gas. And you can see that it's a little bit down today. It's been flipping between 27 and 28 cents pretty much all day. And one of the things is I do expect them to give us another announcement concerning where they are at in this process. And I'm speculating that it's going to be about the testing, whether or not if the testing has started or whether or not if they're in the middle of their testing. And you would have thought by now from their last update, we would have at least gotten an update about the testing. And because right now they're in the middle of selling off stocks. And I'm going to do another video, just a Zion Oil video, because I really want to look at this and them selling off stocks, because it looks like they have to sell off a lot of stocks in order to get the money that they have. And I believe that they said that they were using like maybe 4 different institutions or whatever to sell off some stocks. I can't remember. And so I've been looking for like block trades, over 50,000. And of course, they're probably doing some smaller than that. But there is, when you go on different days, you can see like, you see there 100,000. You got some more orders, over 50,000, 114,000. And I don't know if these are the particular stocks that they're selling off. We won't really know until we get an update from the SEC, right? Whether they've completed selling all of their shares. Now, of course, in order for them to sell those shares, people have to buy those shares. So obviously, for the price as far as right now, I'm really surprised that it has not dropped down 20 cents, but I'm also surprised that you would think that before they would start selling off stocks, they could just give a simple update saying that we've started testing. The stock will probably go up to almost $1. Then they won't have to sell off so many stocks. Of course, it's going to come back down, but you would think that, they would plan this and coordinate this a little bit differently. And that's why I don't like their PR. I don't like their PR. I'm invested in different stocks and different cryptos. A lot of them, I hear from the CEO every single day. Do we ever hear from the CEO? It's absolutely crazy. But some stocks I hear from the CEO every day. Some are every other day or once every 3 days, encouraging their investors. And they don't do that. To be honest with you folks, I believe in Zion Oil. I believe the original mission of Zion Oil. I believe in what they're trying to do because of Israel. You can get rich or you can make money off any stock in the stock market. That's one thing I've learned. Every single day, there are stocks that go up. There are stocks that go down that you can buy in knowing it's going to go back up. Right? There are so many different opportunities out there. So for me, Zion Oil is not about getting rich or getting wealthy. Remember, folks, it's in the OTC markets. It's no longer on NASDAQ. So you don't have as many investors. And there's only several more places that don't charge for OTC orders. And so that turns off a lot of investors to begin with. Because if you're going to invest in a penny stock and you got to spend $7 or $5 to order OTC, you're giving away shares. But that's just the nature of it, right? People don't want to. There are people who have a lot of money. They don't like trading OTC stocks just because of the charge. So you're leaving out investors who normally would have. You remember the days when it was on in NASDAQ, right? You had access to millions of people. And Zion Oil used to be talked about on social media. Go type in Zion Oil and gas. Just type it in on Facebook and look how many people are talking about it compared to what it was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when you actually are part of those groups that deal with NASDAQ stocks. It was pumped all the time. Not anymore. So I just try to look for just to see if I could see patterns or whatever the case, and they're just, like I said, they're selling off a little bit at a time, making sure that price doesn't go down, because you guys would be upset, but I wouldn't be upset. I would just buy more when it drops down in price. So I am, for me personally, and I know many of you, because I've seen the comments and people are like, what if they don't have oil? Then we have to start the process all over again with a new rig and everything else. But I'm going to do an in-depth video because depending on the amount of money that they have to raise could determine whether or not where they are at as far as, hey, do we need more money because we're going to need equipment, to pump oil or pump natural gas, or do we need to tear down the rig and put it back up and all that stuff, right? I don't want to go through that whole process all over again. But I have to be real, and I have to share with you that everything, it's a risk. Well, folks, before, you have to remember, they did string us along for almost an entire year before they let us know that the well wasn't viable. I don't want to go through that again, and I don't want you guys to go through that again. So hopefully we get an update soon so we know where they are at. And I'm going to take a look and see if I can dig up any other information and kind of give me an idea of how many shares they're going to have to sell and what they might have to use it for. Because we should compare it to last year when we look at the history. How much money did they have to raise last year? And how much money are they trying to raise right now? Those are the two things that you need to look at. And I just want to touch briefly on the Iraqi Dinar because I know that there's a lot of news out there. There's a lot of people talking about the rate change and all that. And I don't get really too excited about that because ever since I've been invested in the dinar for over 10 years, I've heard it every single year. When a third of Iraq was taken over, people were still calling the dinar, and some of those people are still today doing phone conferences and doing phone calls for everybody to come in and listen and talk about the dinar for 2 hours. And folks, you guys are going to miss out on a lot of wealth transfer if you're only invested in the dinar. Yeah, you guys are going to miss out on a lot. You're going to miss out on a point to where before the dinar revalues, that you would be able to buy more dinars than what you need, and you wouldn't even be thinking about the dinar anymore. That's where we are at in the wealth transfer right now. And that's what's getting ready to happen. So I want you guys to stay focused and concentrate on being a part of every part of the wealth transfer. I mean, we've heard all these different prophecies concerning all these different investments, but we were so focused on dinar for such a long time, we missed out. And that's the thing, is when you just now start investing in cryptocurrency, you're trying to figure out which companies or which coins are going to be doing very good, that's going to give you the returns that maybe you would have gotten if you started investing 2 or 3 years ago, right? So we're now trying to redeem our missed wealth transfers, and we're getting there. If you guys go to the Patreon and you see the wealth transfer series, we're talking about redeeming the wealth transfers and putting ourselves in positions, because many people talk about the wealth transfer for a long time, but they're not telling us about these little individual things. And another thing that I do want to share before I get into Shibu Inu is I know a lot of people ask for dates, they ask for rates, and not just on the dinar, but for a lot of these different stocks and stuff. And one of the things is that, in the Bible, when it comes to prophecy, there is no dates in the Bible. And there are things like the tribulation period is going to last for this amount of long time, but it doesn't say when it's going to start. There are signs and clues when it's going to start. And that's what we've been doing, giving you the signs and the clues. Like the dinar, okay? Kim Clement told us when it was going to happen. Then we have some more prophecies from individuals, right, about the rate, but no date, right? Johnny, myself, and many other people that are out there, right? There was no date. I was so focused when God was showing me the 1-to-1, the 3-to-1, and the 5-to-1. I was so focused on the price, I didn't look at the date. The date was right there, but I was so focused on the price that I did not look at the date. So maybe I would have seen the date. God would rather have the date than the price. Because other people have prophesied about the rate, or even prophecy, just knowing that Iraq has a lot of oil, and that's most of their economy, and they have a lot of it. It should be close to what their neighbors and their pre-war rate. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is Shibu Inu. Now, I started listening to some prophecies about Shibu Inu, and I've heard Currency 365 talk about different rates, all the way up to $7. Prophet Solomon saw $1. And then now, of course, we have Prophet Robyn talked about him. He saw it at different rates, right on the lower end spectrum. I think 11 cents maybe was the highest he saw it, and that video just came out today. And I'm gonna do a video on all that because Johnny has talked about what he has seen. And of course, we know that Prophet Robyn did talk about Shibu Inu, and he said that the manual burn was going to backfire in Shibu Inu down the road in the future, right? Eventually, that the coin will go away. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not prophetic. Some of the things I'm getting ready to show you in this video, and that's the main reason why I was making this, because I wanted to make this so you guys could hear before you guys actually see the other video, because I don't want to discourage you, because I am buying and holding Shibu Inu. And for those of you who have the question, you always say, man, I only have $100 or I only have $500. What's some of the investments would you get into? I said, well, I know right now for me that if I had $500 and I had all these different prophetic stocks and I had all these different cryptos, right? I know one of them would at least be Shibu Inu. Some of the other ones would be ETN, Empire, because they've been prophesied about. And there's many others. But as far as getting in, at a lower price and being able to benefit greatly because you got in so cheap. It's just like if you decided to invest in ZNOG now at 28 cents, a month ago you could have got in for 10 cents, right? So you almost have to spend triple to get what you had if you would have just bought it back then. So we know Prophet Robyn talks a lot about Binance, right, and the corruption. And there's a lot of different prophets been talking about corruption too as well. But with Binance, it's a little bit different. And so I'm connecting some things with Shibu Inu, CoinMarketCap, and some other things, right? I'm just going to put it all together. But I don't want you guys to be discouraged into investing in the Shibu Inu because I do believe it will reach that milestone of a penny first. And of course, across social media that I've been reading for a long time, that a lot of people talk about selling off Shibu Inu at 1 cent. Like when Shibu Inu hits 1 cent, I'm cashing out, right? Now, of course, if everybody's doing that, then the price is going to drop significantly. But don't think that the whales won't try to cash out before you. Because the moment they cash out, that Shibu Inu is going down. But also the next milestone is $1, right? And I believe Johnny said he saw $7. And it seems kind of ridiculous, right? Like Shibu Inu really has $7. But when you think about it, if a stock is at $10 and it goes up to $175 and comes back down to the same day to $45, yeah, it could reach that high. And it may only reach that high for a short period of time, but it still gives you the opportunity to make a lot of money. So that's why I'm doing a Shibu Inu video only. And I'm also doing a Dogecoin video only that deals with the prophecies concerning that too as well. And those will be on the Patreon first when I get to those videos. Right now you see where Shibu Inu is at, right? 4031. It's actually pretty cheap right now, especially when you look at the historical rates for this. It has been, let's see here. It has been since October 23rd, since it was actually at 4027. Right, so it's been almost 2 months since it went down to that point. So since then, it went up, 0.005. 4 zeros and a 5. Right, now we see it at currently 4 zeros and a 3. So yes, this would be one of the ones that I would invest in if you only have a certain amount of money. And I'm going to do a whole video on that because I feel led to break down if you don't have any money at all or you have very little to invest. And I'm going to try to help you. All right. And I'm going to make a video about it and just put it on the Patreon and then just put it straight out on YouTube. Because I want you guys to get in. I want you guys to be successful. I want you guys to be a part of the wealth transfer. But you have to remember this one thing is that you have to put in the work. You have to learn how to do things. If you have to watch a certain video on how to do something 2 or 3 times, then do it because this could literally change your life. I believe in the next year that the most people that are listening under the sound of my voice, that most people will be financially successful, whether it's the 100,000 or the millions or the billions. Once again, just to reiterate, this next video that's coming out, I don't want to discourage you. I am buying and holding as much as I can of Shibu Inu because I do believe that it's going to be one of the things that is used to prosper God's people, but it's also going to be used to bring down those corrupt ones too as well. Anyways, folks, look out for that video in a few hours. I thank you guys very much for listening. I thank you for your support. And with that being said, TC out.